for example, produces approximately $222.3 billion for the American GDP. This number already accounts for approximately half the cost of estimated improvements. Overall, the accumulation of the costs associated with not improving is far more detrimental than the cost of putting in one effort into a single repair. The impact of waterborne illness on citizens' health is also a factor that outweighs the costs. The University of Cambridge estimates that the cost of medical treatments for only the 5 major waterborne illnesses is approximately $970 million. In an economy that already has many Americans living from paycheck to paycheck, pricey medical bills can be devastating for somebody's livelihood. And though this price is monetary, the cost to the lives of many Americans, such as death and illness, are even greater. Further concerns are mentioned concerning the necessity of labor for both construction and maintenance. But this is once again mitigated by the overpowering cost of allowing these issues to perpetuate. Current failures in infrastructure are so extensive that the labor needed to clean up after failures is just as expensive as the long-term issue of allowing these issues, of the single effort in putting into a single rebuilding effort. Another concern is the disruption to daily life. But the disruption of failures is once again just as harmful and inconvenient as overall improvements. Plus, overall improvement would provide long-term benefits with short-term disruption as opposed to the increasing inconvenience of failures in the long term. Many also note the stigma associated with environmental concerns, stating that improving environmental protections is too great of an issue to approach, and activism would fail in the face of how integrated certain practices are in American society. On the contrary, compared to other environmental conflicts, improving water management is relatively achievable. Eliminating certain production outlets like power plants that release greenhouse gases or oil mining poses a large threat to the economic stability of the US and threatens energy production. In contrast to the aforementioned issues, water quality improvements require less elimination of vital economic lifelines and more regulation. That does not mean that issues such as air pollution do not need to be addressed, but instead that the road to a cleaner environment lies in the fact that both citizens and the government must address the issues we can fix, as opposed to declaring the issue as a whole is too large to approach. Upon analyzing the evidence, it is resolutely affirmed that advancing the water management and distribution systems in the US is a dire task. Change must be made immediately if we are to limit the effect on public health due to waterborne illness, prevent further deterioration of the vast North American ecosystem, and ensure that sufficient clean water will be available for recreational, practical, and economic purposes. The struggle against water disparities is evident in most communities, even if it hasn't become a full-blown crisis. Flint, Michigan was an example of when ignorance accumulates into disaster. And more conflicts, such as the one in Flint, will begin to occur as the problem snowballs. The key is to make changes now so further loss does not plague the country. Additionally, as an international role model for environmental resolutions, setting a precedent for clean waterways, proper waste disposal, and efficient infrastructure is one of the ways the US can work to benefit both the world and its citizens. The global water crisis seems like a massive issue, but change starts with small steps towards a cleaner future. 3 main ways any individual can begin to tackle the crisis are to educate, inform, and act. First, educating yourself on the facts of the issue as a whole is a great way to, 1, be informed yourself, and 2, to protect yourself and your family of the issues that this crisis can cause to your health and your community. Keep an eye on any notifications from your local or state governments regarding things such as boil notices that could inform you of contamination that could cause illness in your communities. Also, you can research how these issues exist right in your own cities and how issues like this affect areas that exist in your backyard, such as Soap Creek and the Chattahoochee River. Once you have educated yourself, it is important to spread awareness by informing others of what you've learned. Tell your parents, children, peers, or coworkers of what you have learned. The water crisis in America goes largely unnoticed due to the lack of education regarding the threat it poses, so it is up to the individuals to spread knowledge. Finally, the most direct way to advocate for change is action. Many of us acknowledge that we need to change the amount of water we use in our daily lives, yet it is so easy to become discouraged. It seems that a single person's efforts will not make a difference in the face of how large the conflict is. But by informing others and setting a precedent for efficient water use, then the accumulation can make a difference. The earth we stand on is not infinite, and the available resources are even more finite if we continue to misuse our most precious assets. This crisis seems overwhelming and too large to approach, but your individual actions can work to affect and help in a very small way, and all of our actions together will benefit the world as a whole. It is vital that we protect our available water from becoming too tainted and sparse. Life, as we know it, revolves around the availability of water. Since ancient times, civilizations have accumulated around water sources. Thus, if the most precious resource on Earth continues to dwindle, no thanks to human arrogance and ignorance, then the people will suffer the loss. Thank you. I'm done. Oh my God, I was perfect. Perfect.